What is the logic behind this, going to a McDonald's? I mean, we know the guy likes Big Macs and filet of fish, and he's used the word love to describe the way he feels about the food there before.
Because he is a threat to our democracy, but also
because this is coming at all of us, Republicans too. Your freedoms are at risk too. Don't know what you're doing. There are efforts to sidestep things that he's saying that are clear fascism.
MSDNC is completely melting down today over Trump's decision to work at McDonald's in order to say that he's officially worked at McDonald's longer than Kamala Harris.
I'm looking for a job, and I've always wanted to work at McDonald's. I never did. I'm running against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So, President Trump! Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody. Crazy. I'm having a lot of fun here, everybody. You don't think there's of it.
But Trump's love of McDonald's actually goes way back.
I don't know how you do it. I put together some really impressive deals. But this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret?
Recall that a major part of Kamala Harris's stump speech this summer was to say that she was middle class and she worked a summer job at McDonald's.
Think about it. 2 middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother. I had a summer job at McDonald's.
Actually, you grew up in a wealthy neighborhood in Montreal, but these are minor details. Well, unfortunately for Kamala Harris, McDonald's released a statement saying they have zero record of her ever working there. Maybe that's why they've since removed those lines from her stump speech. So Trump had an insanely busy day today. He worked a shift at McDonald's, held an impromptu press conference after doing a Sunday morning interview with Fox, did a town hall with Sage Steele, and then went to the Jets versus Steelers primetime game at night to top it all off. Here's the footage NBC will definitely not show you. So Trump was in the suite. He was invited by an anonymous guest. Some say maybe Woody Johnson, the Jets owner. And the entire crowd is chanting USA, USA. So Trump fans are definitely revved up about the election. One Trump fan was so revved up that she charged the field with a pro-Trump sign. Her sign apparently said Trump closed borders and Kamala open borders. Honestly, those knee-high stiletto boots look pretty tough to run in. Hats off to her for charging the field in those bad boys. But the Harris campaign in the last couple weeks has tried to roll out a ridiculous array of talking points. They've said Trump's Hitler. They've brought that back from 2016, classic vintage line that I don't think anyone buys anymore, except for the truly terminal cases of TDS. And the most recent hilarious talking point is to treat Trump basically how most people with any common sense looked at Joe Biden the last 4 years, which was to say he clearly has some form of dementia or neurological disorder, definitely cognitive problems, and he seems exhausted. He's at the beach all day. So her campaign has been trying to throw that talking point at Trump. They've been calling Trump exhausted, even though he's been outshining her nonstop on the campaign trail, doing 6-7 events every day. He himself said on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast that he hasn't taken a single break yet, a single day of rest yet. He has not had one day off, and I think he said for the last 35 days. Well, Kamala Harris's running mate today, Tim Walz, admitted that exhaustion is a real factor in this campaign for them.
Look, I know many people, if you say I'm tired of this, trust me, I am too. We're fatigued from it.
Well, I know Kamala Harris is fatigued. Her most recent speech in Michigan was 7 minutes long. I'm sorry, it was actually 6 minutes and 23 seconds long. And it was the only event she did that day. Harris campaign surrogate Ayanna Pressley is so exhausted from attempting to campaign for her failing candidate that she can't even tell the difference between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz.
We're for Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance are about our freedoms, restoring those that have been gutted by this weaponized Supreme Court, expanding upon those and taking us into the future.
Vance did so well in the vice presidential debate, the Democrats now claim him as their own. But Democrats completely lost it today. They had no idea how to respond to Trump's McDonald's campaign stop. The first thing they did was to call it staged. This is the owner of Midas Touch Media saying, so the place wasn't even open. It was all staged and fake. He didn't work for real at a McDonald's. It was a staged fraud, just like every other event. Wow, Trump doesn't actually work at McDonald's. Scandalous. Trump's not actually trying to work a minimum wage fast food job while running for president. That might be the greatest attempted fact check of this election cycle so far. It's right up there with David Muir's crime is down, actually, attempted fact check using doctored FBI statistics that the FBI recently revised.
In 2022, the FBI said violent crime rates decreased by 2.1%. But now the feds are adjusting that number to show an increase of 4.5%. So when does Trump get his apology from David Muir, who ever so smugly fact-checked him during ABC's debate last week?
Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud.
You know, Kamala must be tanking in the polls when the FBI is like, you know what? Here are the real numbers, guys. We lied. Did we say down? Oh, my bad. It's obviously up. Yeah, everyone trying to use a CVS or public transportation in a major city is aware. But thanks, FBI. But Democrats were completely unhinged today. They said that his McDonald's visit was proof of dementia and that he humiliated himself. Let's see. This is the party that hid Joe Biden's dementia for 4 years and replaced him with a candidate who just got completely embarrassed today on her birthday. Projection alert. But Trump was still a gentleman. He wished Kamala Harris a happy birthday. He even offered her some fries.
It's Kamala's birthday. He's 60 years old. Yes, I would say happy birthday, Kamala. She's turning 60. I think I'll get her some flowers. Maybe I'll get her some fries. It is her birthday. It is true, right? Happy birthday, Kamala. Happy birthday. See you later.
What a nice guy. He's offering her fries. We know how much she likes Doritos. Honestly, French fries would be a much nicer birthday gift than what these Democrat senators have gotten Kamala Harris. Bob Casey, Pennsylvania senator, swing state, major swing state, could swing the election. Sherrod Brown, Ohio. Ohio used to be a swing state. It's pretty firmly Trump these days. Tammy Baldwin, Wisconsin senator. They're all running ads that associate them positively with Trump. They're trying to ride the Trump wave. None of them are campaigning with Kamala Harris. Needless to say, the folks at MSDNC were left speechless today, attempting to respond to Trump's shift at McDonald's. They basically just called him fat and said he really likes fast food. And they, of course, repeated these mindless NPC vintage 2016 sound bites that he's a threat to democracy.
If you're on his campaign, and I know you are certainly not, I'm not making any implication of that, but what is the logic behind this? Going to a McDonald's? I mean, we know the guy likes Big Macs and filet of fish, and he's used the word love to describe the way he feels about the food there before. But what's this about?
There's no logic to it. It's a stunt. He has not put forth an economic agenda. He, as you know, appears to be not well, and he's engaged in some really bizarre types of activities during this campaign. So this is just another one of those stunts that he will continue on through the campaign. And I think that we need to really focus on making sure that he is not elected, of course, because he is a threat to our democracy, but also the Harris-Walz agenda is about the economy, reducing the cost of living, reducing the cost of prescription drugs, reducing the cost of housing, and making life better for everyone. And that's what we have to focus on and make sure we get every voter to the polls.
So the piping hot take from MSDNC was, this was weird. And by the way, he's a threat to democracy. Once you go full on calling your opponent Hitler, you can't really say anything else. You can't be like, he's Hitler, but he also wants high taxes. Apparently, Gavin Newsom's biggest criticism of Trump is that Trump is no longer interesting. So if you're keeping track of the Democrats' biggest complaints against Trump, it's that he's boring, but also Hitler.
But as for Trump canceling interviews and events and ducking another debate, I mean, you're someone, you know him, you've paid attention to his psyche for a long time. What do you think is going on there?
Well, I mean, I've said this from day one, he's a broken person. And you're seeing that. He's becoming increasingly, and it's remarkable to be able to say this because he's often graded on the curve, but he's increasingly acting deranged, unhinged. The rhetoric coming from the Harris campaign absolutely mimics what we're watching. I mean, you saw that 39-minute curious exovate of just narcissism on another level, where people had to sort of stare at dear leader as he was dancing or zoning out. I mean, this is a profound and remarkable moment, and I think he's not meeting that moment. I think he's increasingly concerned about his own candidacy himself, and he's going back to these safe places, Fox and Friends again this week, and the questions are yawningly predictable, and he's becoming increasingly derivative of even himself, more and more, dare I say, boring as someone that has followed him closely. He's not as interesting either as he once was.
So to recap, the Democrats think he's boring Hitler. No wonder they all have scripted talking points after receiving the same memo. They, like Kamala, are a disaster without someone else feeding them lines. You know, I really think these shallow and histrionic lies about Trump worked back then on a lot of people because they didn't know better. And by back then, I mean almost a decade ago. But Trump was already in office, and no one was in a labor camp, unless you count the Uyghurs picking cotton in China to make Nike dunks for woke athletes like LeBron James and Megan Rapinoe. No, we've already lived through a Trump presidency. It's been almost a decade of hearing the same tired lines over and over again. You know, the Democrats are truly panicking when they just start shouting talking points that have already begun to fall on deaf ears for most people. But as hilarious and iconic as today was, everyone needs to go out and make sure they're registered to vote. People need to not get complacent. I'll catch you on the next one.